This is Scott Fain with Team Woods Podcast, and I'm here today with Bobby Thomas, Mr. Bob Thomas, longtime Youngstown resident and co-founder of Ebony Lifeline. How are you doing today, Bobby?
I'm doing pretty good. I just like to add something to my name that I think
Please.
people would like to know. My name is Robert F. Thomas Frank. That Frank stands from my uncle, Frank Fulton. I was named after him in that content. And he didn't know that till about 3 years ago.
Oh,
So happy to hear that.
well, I'm glad you corrected the record. I wanted to get started talking a little bit about Ebony Lifeline. First off, what is that? And can you tell us a little bit how that got started?
Well, Ebony Lifeline is a group that started about 25, 26 years ago. And it was a program set to help minorities, Black, Puerto Ricans, Asian, whoever, to stay sober because they would go into treatment centers and they would go to the meetings at the treatment centers and they would stay sober. But after a while in these treatment centers, every month they have the same speaker for Monday, for Tuesday, and they just rotate. And so after a while they get bored and then they get drunk, you know. So Ebony Lifeline had a few fellows and a few women that had been sober for quite a while and they had been through these treatment centers. And the purpose was to make sure that they know that they're going to these meetings, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, or Narcotics Anonymous, Smoking Anonymous, whatever, that they have to go for themselves, you know, because all the meetings was in the suburbs. And so what we said, we're going to have this as a group where you can come and talk your own language and feel good. And they came like they was going to church, all dressed up and everything, and it was working. You know, that was the beginning of Ebony Lifeline support group. And so it helped many people. You know, a lot of them guys that came through have become preachers and lawyers, and they just living a good, positive, responsible life, you know. Can't help everybody, but I think our percentage was up in the 90s of these people staying sober. Because in the group, we could tell when somebody has a leadership ability. And we would make them the chairman of that meeting for 2 years. And that just proved to work, you know.
Okay. So where did you operate from in the beginning, the Ebony Lifeline?
We operated from Neil Kennedy Recovery Center on Youngstown, on the south side of Youngstown. That's where we originally started, right there. And
Okay.
we had people that were really coming, you know.
Mm-hmm. So someplace in the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood, right there in the neighborhood. And the key to it was that they were right there and they were comfortable. And so they would come back, like I stated before, you know.
Right.
And we
Right.
let them know. And we didn't pull no punches, you know, with people that had any doubt about staying sober, that they had to get out through the other meetings. We were just a place for you to feel comfortable, talk your own language, and we didn't have no yawky stuff going on.
Well, tell me a little bit about the podcast, because it connects, right? The Life on Life's Terms podcast that you guys do.
Oh yeah, the radio show. Yeah, we do that. Been doing that. Oh, I don't know, maybe about 20 years, different stations. And what we do, we have people come in on the radio and we talk about their recovery, what it was like for them when they were out there doing drinking or doping or whatever. You know, how they came into being a sober person, that they go through treatment or self-help groups such as AA, NA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous, and that's what's going on, you know.
What inspired you to get involved?
Oh, okay. What inspired me to get involved? Because I was drinking heavily, and I was having blackouts. If people don't know what a blackout is, that's you drink, you don't remember what happened. You dance, you move, you have sex and everything, but you just don't remember it. You just in a blackout, and that's very dangerous. You're in the late stages of alcoholism, you know. And to make a long story short, I worked at General Motors, and when I drank, I wouldn't go to work. So there's one day I didn't go to work, and I'm with my buddy, and we're riding around drinking. We went down to a place called Augusta Market, corner of Hines Street and Augusta Avenue. And I was the type of guy, if I'm driving and if we was in New York, Buffalo, and you got out the car, I'll leave you. I'll just leave you there, you know. I don't know why, but that's what the liquor told me to do. Mm-hmm. To make a long story short, this guy got out, go get some more beer, and I ran under a semi truck. It was going up the road. It was at a stop sign, a crossroad, and I drove under there, and they drug me up the street. Everybody thought I was dead, but I was just dead drunk. And I don't remember none of that, you know. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, when I went back to that store, they thought I was dead. They thought they was looking at a ghost. Ooh. But to make a long story short, that was my bottom. I could not take no more. And so I had a cousin named Lester Coleman, my buddy, cousin. And he knew all the schemes and games going on, you know. Mm-hmm. Bless his heart, he knew. And he said, why don't you put yourself in that mental hospital, which is called Woodside Hospital, which is tore down now. And just, you know, lay over. And so I said, well, I think I'd do that because I had to go to court. I didn't know what I was doing. I said, I'd go up there and just lay low till it blow over, you know. Well, nothing ever blows over. You got to pay the price. So I remember just like yesterday, bless my mother, you know. I was getting ready to go in there. And I said, Mom, I don't think I'm going in there. She said, boy, you better get your booty in there, you know. So I went in there and I seen some things that I never will forget, you know. Young guys, 14 to 16, coming in and getting shock treatment, you know. It just one guy came in just on the weekends and he left, you know, through the week, just like it was a hotel. But the one thing about it, that's where I met my sponsor. Sponsor is somebody that comes and kind of tutor you and mentor you and show you how to stay sober. And he was a probation officer. And he helped me, he helped my family. And this is where I first got sober. You know, and that was November 13, 1972. And I've been sober now for 51 years, going on November 13th will be 51 years. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll just say 50 years I got right now, coming up on another year, a day at a time.
All right. Amen to that. Well, I wanted to, before we leave the topic of the radio show and everything, where can people hear it? I'm going to put a link to it as well, but where can people hear your show?
They can hear it. I don't have the number, but it's let's get back to, I have to.
You know what? I got the link. I'll put it up when we put this together. So I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
But I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about your music. Matt was telling me that you did some music back in the day. What was the name of your band?
The Marvels.
Oh, the Marvels. Okay.
Somewhere in life, you'll find the one you love.
Okay.
Marvels, we made this song and you can get it on your phone called Somewhere in Life by the Marvels. You know, if you can get it on your phone, you can play it for your audience. Because it's on the phone, you know, if you just play music or whatever, it's #1. And we made that record back in 1958 or 59. And we were good.
How did you get started with it?
Well, we got started through my Aunt Letha, bless her soul, because she wanted us to have something positive to do. So She got us in touch with a Reverend Leslie Parker. He has passed away. He taught us how to sing gospel. We were singing gospel songs, myself, my cousin Earl Marshall, Archie Beck, who passed away, and myself, and Stanley Pondexter, who became a minister. He has passed away. And we were singing, gospel singing. We call ourselves Starlight Juniors. And, from there, we went into the rock and roll or rhythm and blues or whatever, And it was a wonderful time,
What did you play?
Well, I didn't play nothing. We sang,
Oh, okay.
And I was
Like,
first tenor.
was it doo-wop or?
No, it was good old fashioned gospel, good old
Okay. I'm talking about once you got into like rock and roll music is what I meant. That was a doo-wop style or whatnot.
Yeah, definitely doo-wop. Yeah, it was doo-wop. Yeah.
How many family members were in the band?
Well, it was just me, Lester, and Earl Marshall. We were the family, Then we had other people like Arthur Coleman and like I was saying, Archie Beck was there. But he didn't come along into the rock and roll doo-wop,
Mm-hmm.
And we had Hayward Woods, who was related to this young man, Matthew, sitting here. And we made a few records, like I said, you got it on your phone there. And we were doing good,
Do you have any stories about that time? Like your favorite story about being on stage or working with them?
Well, I remember one time we was in Farrell Sharon. We were doing a show. It was a Christmas show, a New Year's Eve show. And we looked out there and there was a football player who was a bad, bad man. Bad man. Meriden Motley. He played for the Cleveland Browns. He was the first, him and Bill Willis was the first blacks to play for the Cleveland Browns, And that was one thing that I remember very well. The other thing about it is that we had a girl by the name of Lucy Bryant. She goes by the name of Terry Bryant now. She's on that record that you're going to listen to. And she got swept up by these bands around here. And to make a long story short, she's in Las Vegas now. And she's doing a whole lot of good music and stuff, going on the cruise and everything,
Oh.
So, oh yeah, we and right, the last lady we had was Clara Ballinger, and she's still around. She sings gospel, and you can pick her up on the YouTube too. So we had a lot of good things happen.
Have you ever performed with any other famous bands or people?
Well, Dean Clark, we did some with him on TV.
Dick Clark?
Yeah, Dean Clark.
Oh, okay. You were on like American Bandstand?
It was a show in Akron, yeah, nationwide. Come out of Akron, Ohio, yeah.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
What were some of your musical influences coming up that made you
coming up?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't sing no more, we're kind of in semi-retirement, What we do now is just reminisce, That's all.
You don't still get out there and harmonize with your buddies every now and again?
Well, once in a while we might hit a note or two, but we don't do nothing for the entertainment like going into the clubs or nothing like that. That part is over,
All right. Well, I like I said, I'm always curious. I have a little bit of background like that myself, so I'm always curious about musicians and fellow musicians. My last question is just I'm curious. Do you remember what the first album you ever bought was?
The first album?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. It was by the Clovers. One Mint Julep.
1 Mint Julep.
Yeah, by the Clovers. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the first. Yeah. It was a good record. 1 Mint Julep.
That was the first one you bought yourself?
Yeah.
All right.
It would.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Well, you're quite welcome. Thank you for having me as one of your participants.
Yes. All right.
Okay, this is Clara Wilson, who was our lead singer on many of our records. This is Lucy Bryant, who you will hear on the song Somewhere in Life, our very first song. This is Hayward Woods, who was the baritone. This is myself, who was tenor and soprano. This was Arthur Coleman, who was a lead singer and also a tenor. And this is the great late Lester Coleman, the man of all men. This was Earl Marshall. He's up in Detroit doing good as a musician, playing in clubs and got jobs at different churches and everything. And this is Arthur Gertha Price from the Sharon line, better known as McGuffey Heights, they say. And he was a good tire. And this here is Howard Garrett, who is also a relative of Aunt Mettie Fulton, and he's passed away. And he was a lead singer on a few of our records that we made. This is Dave Wallace, who was a tenor. He took Arthur Coleman's place when Arthur had an accident with a fire. And this is Walter Thornton, the saxophone man, bad man with the horn. And this is Joe Harris, who was our drummer. And we had a good band and a good singer, and we are proud of what we've done. And if you hear our music, you will like it and love it like we do. Thank you.
Honey, you better be cool. You know you pay me for a clown. You messed around, now I'm gonna put a hurting on you. Oh, now I'm gonna put a hurting on you. So baby, just follow the rules. I'm gonna put a hurting on you. So honey, you better be cool. You know you spent all of my name. You caught your shame, now I'm gonna put a hurting on you. I've been reading upon little magic, the potions about to do.
She's even made a doll in the image of me.